Hey, good people. Welcome back to Driven in Purpose. I am your host, Alice M. Robinson. So giving you a quick Q&A for those that are just watching Driven in Purpose for the first time. This podcast is about meeting finding all over the world. In this podcast, people are sharing their stories of how they reach their purpose in God and how they're driven in it. And you're even going to meet some of those that are still trying to find their drive. Here, you're going to give sound wisdom on how to find your purpose and how to be driven in it. So I have an awesome guest with me on tonight. Y'all, I've been trying to get her on here forever. And that is none other than my amazing, and I can tell you, I have on one hand, best friends. And we have many acquaintances, but not many best friends. And I can truly say this is my best friend, my sister, Dorena Sams, all the way from Chicago, Illinois.
Hey, how y'all doing?
This is my ace coon. This is my touchstone. I call her my touchstone. When I
My
want
sister
to
from another mother.
She is my ace coon. I literally talk to her every day. If there's a day, I don't think we try to miss too many days. If I don't call her, she calls me. I can tell you through the week, we're going to talk. And I call her on my way to work, on my way home. She is my true best friend. And so I start off every podcast with a question to every guest that comes on Driven in Purpose. And when you, I just seen her face expression. When you hear the word driven in purpose, what does that mean to you? How does it affect you when you hear the word driven in purpose?
That means, to me, I think about walking in your assignment, whatever assignment that's on your life. Um, and we all have a different journey. That's true. But when you know and you tap into what God has called you to do, when you have tapped into your talents and your giftings, then you are walking in your purpose. Um, and being driven, it's like an acceleration because
Mhm.
when you're driving, even when you're driving and you're going the slowest you can go, you're still moving forward. I mean, well,
Mhm.
there's still movement. So I think about movement in God, movement in what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, that's
That's
powerful.
what
You know, I didn't think
driven
about
in
that.
purpose.
I didn't think about that. Um, it doesn't matter how fast you're going, just as long as you're moving. And I think sometimes we get a misunderstanding that it's a fast paced. It's not about the race. It's just about getting in it and running
That's
it.
right.
And so
It's
that's
not
what's
given to the swift or the strong, but the one that endure. So I
until
mean,
the end.
anyone who has ever ran any type of track, you can only keep up that pace for so long,
Yeah,
but
it
you
is.
got to keep going. It's
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 like a
about
relay.
yep.
It's like long distance running.
Mhm.
When you're running a 5K or a 10K, you know you can't start off sprinting the whole thing because you're not gonna make it. They tell you to pace yourself. Even in ministry, that's something that you have to do because we can burn out. And people, I know those that are watching may feel like, oh, you can burn out in ministry. You can get burned out in ministries. And those that are watching this podcast now are going to watch it later. Y'all send a message. Those that agree, you can burn out. You have to pace yourself in ministry and you can get burned out from ministry. Just always take a break. I tell people, take a pause moment.
Right, right.
Pause for a
And I
minute. And I'm
and I
not
think that's
saying
where the
put
Holy
down
Spirit
Jesus.
comes in. That's where the Holy Spirit comes in to help you prioritize things that
Yeah,
you're supposed to be doing.
exactly. Because you tell me all the time, girl, I'm taking a mental health day.
Shh, don't tell my secrets on the air now. Don't tell my secrets on
I need to and we as believers, we need to take a minute, take a pause, and stretch a little bit and enjoy life a little bit because God, and we talk about that, He wants us to laugh also. Ministry should never be a weight and it causes you grief or it causes you like sadness, because that's not what
Mhm.
ministry, and that's sure not being driven in purpose. When you're driven in purpose, it's this overwhelming. Now, this is how I see it. It's an overwhelming push. It's an overwhelming. I have to get this done. I know that God is giving me a charge, and I gotta do it. So, like you said, it's just applying your foot to the gas. It don't matter how fast you're going, just go. Don't sit there
Right.
in neutral and just
Right.
idling, because you're never gonna get. I did, that's like, you know what? I will tell you, put your car in neutral and let God let it be. I just had a click. It just clicked in my spirit. Put your car in neutral and let God. You know how when you go into a car wash and they tell you to put
Mhm.
your car in neutral and it takes over and it rolls you through? Well, put your car in neutral and let God take you on the path that you need to go. So tonight, so this podcast is about let's talk about it. Let's talk about it for real. So
Ooh,
um
y'all pray for me. Oh Jesus.
because you know what, being driven in purpose is there is to be whole in it. It's not just spiritual, but it's natural also. It
Mhm.
comes together and it makes a complete whole. And I know that everybody's heard me talk about the spiritual aspects of it and how it looks, but how does it look for you in the other side of it? And so we have some things in common. So both of us are single. Was married, was single, married, and then single again. I'm a widow. And my best friend, Dorena, here has never had an opportunity to be married. And so we're going to talk about being single and saved, but let's talk about it for real.
Ooh, that's
Because
hard.
because we make it seem like, and this is about now y'all listen, this is still about being driven in purpose, because there's obstacles that come as being single people. And I'm not going to say single women, because I'm sure there's some men, and I know our um, we don't all face the same thing when we're men and women, but it's still about being driven in purpose, because there's things that come in our lives as single women, and I'm sure as married women too, because I was married, that can keep you from your purpose in God, that can be a distraction. And sometimes it's us, and sometimes it's the enemy, and then knowing the difference between the two. So we're going to talk about that on tonight, because me and Dorena, and this is why I wanted, and we're kind of she's kind of my testing ground for this one, because eventually I'm hoping we will come back and then we'll have her on, but we'll have several other women with us in this particular panel about let's talk about it. Let's talk about it for real. So um, tell us a little bit before we go there. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Those that are watching are going to listen. Tell us about what do you do for a living? And I know I'm not going to go through the whole thing, because I know you. I won't say occupations, but you did one thing and then you went and did something else. So share just a little bit of what you do.
Well, on the income part, I am an administrative assistant as of right now. I used to be a prevention specialist or director of prevention programming, where I would go into the school settings and I would implement curriculum dealing with goal setting, conflict resolution, conflict management, alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs, and how to deal with peer pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done that pretty much all of my working career. And
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden, uh-oh, hang on, I just heard something. There was a shift. And it wasn't something that I wanted. It was something that was forced upon me. And I say that because I don't know if anyone knows anything about governmental grants, right? Normally when people get grants and you are doing well with your reviews with the grants, you keep grants until they die out. Well, my agency, first one that I've heard about, decided we no longer want to deal with that grant. So I was in the process of hiring. I even tried to get you to come down. I said, "Yeah, I got a job for you. I'm gonna get you hired, everything, right?" So I was in the process of, working. Everything was going good. People was leaving the department, but I was making it work. All of a sudden, they said, "We're going to end the grant, and we have to find all of you all jobs." At the time, I had a team of about like 4 people. Everybody, and my end date was December 31st. Everybody was finding other positions. I was applying, no hits. The one person that interviewed me was like, "Well, you make too much for my position." And I had a vice president tell me, "Go to where they can sustain your salary." Now, me thinking, I don't make a whole lot of money, but I said, okay. And I was getting nervous. December 26th, I interviewed, still waiting on a position. December 27th, December 28th. I was like, "Oh Lord, I ain't gonna have no job." Someone approached me, was like, "Okay, well, we can give you a job for 6 months, but it'd be over in June." I was like, "I don't want a temporary job because my bills don't stop in 6 months. I need something that's gonna be long term." So I said, "Okay, God, do you not know the very last week of December, like December 28th?" And this was like when our company was on pretty much vacation. I go back, and the person I interviewed with, who's the clinical director, and I was like, "You said he's gonna make a decision. I need to know something. I don't have a job." She's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna send you some information." So as of January 1, I became an administrative assistant for behavioral health in my agency. It's a non for profit. So I'm grateful for that, because I even called my girl. I was like, "Oh, Alice, you gotta pray. Everybody in my company got a job. I don't have one. I don't want to work the inpatient 24/7 job." But I was like, if I have to, I guess I need, it's a job. But I was able to get something, and it's going well. It's a learning process, because even looking over the job requirements, I was like, "I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can do that." Alice kept saying, "Excuse me, girl, you got it. You got it. Calm down. You do this all the time, But there was no confidence in myself, So I'm gonna tell anybody, it helps to have someone that's spiritually connected, that you can tag team with, that's gonna keep you going. And that's what Alice was for me, because I was like, "Oh," her and my sister was like, "Girl, don't worry about it. God gonna work it out."
And you know what? And
So
that was the thing that, and we have to learn that there is elevation moments, and we get comfortable sometimes in the space that we're in. And God was trying to push you forward, and you was like, "I don't think." Okay, so this is where I play. I don't think I'm equipped. I don't think I have the ability. But everything is in us already, and we just don't know it. So I said, "Girl, what you don't know," I was like, "Google it, YouTube it, do what you got to
my
do." And
best
it
friends,
did.
my best
But
friends,
you rose up to it though. God gave you what you needed, and you're like said. I told girl, I need your job.
God has given me favor though,
He
and
has.
and that's something that you can't buy. All and I began to look back over, and I do see that and acknowledge that I have had favor with all my positions. And because when I started off, it was like I had this boss. Someone asked the question, "Are you all dating?" I was like, "What? Why you ask me that?" "Because you get away with everything. You do what you want to do." I was like,
Favor.
"No."
God's favor is
I
amazing.
said, "It's not fair, but it sure is fabulous, right?"
It is. It
So
is.
so I was like, I don't think I can ever get a better supervisor, right? Lo and behold, God worked again, because my next supervisor was African American female, but she was saved. I'm like, "Okay, go God." I was like, "Okay, go Jesus, you working this out, right?" And then so now I'm supervisor. she is very complimentary, right? And it was to the point of I didn't know how to take compliments
You
because she would
didn't.
say something, and I was like, "Are you being facetious? What are you saying?" I had to ask somebody else. I'm like, "Why keep saying, oh, I'm doing a good
Thank you.
job or thank you?" I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not used to hearing that, right?
Learning how to be appreciated for what you do. And that's something God wanted you to also learn in this career is to be like, okay, I thank you. I thank you for the opportunity um, to be able to do this. So that's what she does. So she has an amazing job. I told her you have a cushion job. Now let me explain. She does a lot on her job. She does. She has to micromanage several different physicians, and she micromanages them well. I like, girl, but you,
I don't like the
and she
term
makes it look
micromanage.
easy.
I don't like the term micromanage because that seems so negative. I just make sure things
But
are
you,
operating smoothly. Yeah, that's the
no, you handle a lot because they will call you at the ninth hour and say, "Hey, Dorena, we need a meeting," and you got to pull together a meeting at the last minute, and you make it work. Or, hey, we're canceling the meeting, and you got like 15 minutes to send out a multi-mass saying, "Hey, no meeting." That's not minor. That's major. A lot of us probably would be scrambling. I know me. I'll be like, look, y'all gonna have to let me know an hour or two before. Don't come to me at 15 minutes telling about ain't no meeting. But so you do well at your job. You do well
But
at your
this
job.
position is helping me learn a lot about different things and a lot about myself. It's
Yeah,
helping me boost my confidence. So the next shift, I will be better prepared to adapt in that
right,
arena. So
right.
I was like, because I am learning a lot, and it's I actually can say I enjoy my job. I really do.
Which is not many people can say that. Some days I don't know. I pray about mine. I love my job. I love the people that I work with. It can be high stress. My job can be it's high stress. I deal with grief. I deal with death all the time. So my job is a very high stressful job, but I ain't gonna tell nobody about all that because it's high stress. So you guys know what my girlfriend does for a living. So now we're gonna get down to the meat of the this podcast. So,
Okay.
like I was saying, so I went from single to married, and so Dorena knew my late husband before I do. They actually, her parents and my late husband's parents were were best friends, so they kind of grew up together, and so that's where I met Dorena through my husband Christopher, and I knew her for years, but we didn't really get really close until after my husband passed, and that was for a reason. Um, but we'll talk about that later on.
But
But that
God,
was, huh?
I
Oh
said,
yeah.
but
Oh, we
God,
gonna talk about that because she wanted to dump me.
I
she
I
wanted
tried
she
three
wanted to kick,
times,
she wanted to
multiple
kick my
times.
my booty to the curb. Cause y'all, I was not in a good space. We're gonna just go ahead and talk about it. I was not in a good space. And so she was calling, she was leaving messages, and I was like, I'm gonna call her back. And then I was like, no, I'm not. But you know what? And it took months. And it wasn't like days or weeks, it took months. But she didn't quit. And
That was
that
God. That
tells,
was God.
but that tells you when God has meant something to be, because he'll push the person like, I know you want to quit, but I don't want you to throw in the towel just yet. So I thank you for that. I thank you for not throwing in the towel, because there was a time where there came a time when I needed somebody that I could talk to. And I knew that they were going to be transparent with me and they were going to be real with me. And then that I felt comfortable enough to be able to say how I felt, and not be judged on how I felt, or thinking, oh, girl, you ain't saved. You can't. And that's not how she came to me. That's not what she presented to me. So it made the journey a little easier. So she done seen me, y'all. She done seen me on the roller coaster. And because she was concerned, she came to Chicago. She came from Chicago to here, to where I lived, and she spent the day because she's like, okay, I'm gonna go get my girl. And she spent the day with me and her nieces because that is my sister. But we talk about everything. And she's laughing because we talk about everything from
Yeah.
spiritually things to natural things. And I have a whole lot of people that I could talk about the spiritual things, but there's very few people, and I can take one hand, probably two fingers, that I can talk about the natural part of life and how to navigate through that, staying saved. Because y'all, single and saved ain't no joke.
Definitely not.
It is a straight up war. It's like a boxing match to stay single and stay saved. And you really have to have a made up mind. And okay, so we're gonna talk about this. Okay, so we had this, we had this conversation a few months ago. And so on Driven and Purpose Facebook page. So y'all need to go make sure those that are watching go to the Driven and Purpose Facebook page. Make sure you follow, like, and share. But on there is going to be some merch that's going to be coming up, and one of the shirts is going to say "Shut up, devil," because it was what, a few months ago, a little bit over a month ago, I think. Me, like I said, we talk every day, and so my oldest daughter was in the car. We was driving, and the enemy was talking to me. He was talking a bunch of smack, just a bunch of junk. And so I do, and I think and Dorena could contest to this because we're in the same boat at this part. We want to be married again. I want to be married again, and she wants to be married because
For the
she's never
first
had
time.
that opportunity. She's never had that opportunity to be married, and that's one thing that we do talk about. That's one thing that we do pray about when we're in our prayer life and when we're talking. So there was a particular conversation the enemy was trying to have with me, but I wasn't having with him. And he was telling me how, and this is what a lot of us face as single individuals. I won't even say women, but single individuals, about waiting, being patient, not being desperate, not settling. And so the enemy had told me in the car that I was going to get tired of waiting, that I was going to just settle for whatever came. And so my words to the devils was, shut up, Satan. You ain't got no business talking to me. And so in that moment, 2 minutes later, guess who calls me? My good friend, my sister Dorena, called me. And let me tell you how connected we are. So the enemy talked to me by that way, but she has a whole another story. And she be cracking me up because I be asking her, I said, girl, where all these men be coming from? Because they don't be coming from me. They don't be hollering at me. I'm like, what's the dealio? And when she calls me, so we're talking for real, y'all. This is come on, let's talk about it. So she was like, and we won't mention names because I don't even remember the name. So
that's why I don't say names.
So she don't say that. So she was like, X, I'm gonna call him X, I'm gonna call him Y, and I'm gonna call him Z. I said, can I get an O?
No, we're not about to play Hangman or Wheel of Fortune.
She said, give me a letter. Just give me a letter. And but I don't want just a letter. I'm being funny. But no.
Right.
And so I was like, but then I said, girl, and for a while when she was telling me this in the beginning of my recovery, coming out of the why me mode. And so in that process of me saying, so in the beginning, and Dorena could attest to this, it probably was 3 years after Chris had passed. I was like, okay, I'm ready to be married. And I heard Dorena in her head, She didn't say it out loud right then and
Yes,
there,
I
but I
did.
heard her in the
Yes, I did.
spiritual realm say she wasn't ready. You not ready. You are so not ready. You're not. You're not. And I was like, I'm ready. I'm ready. And she was like, and finally she said it out. You are not ready to be married. I was like, man. And so then I was like, you got all these men hollering at you. I can't even get one. But what I was putting off was come near me and I'm gonna slap the taste out of your mouth. That's what I was radiating out. So nobody was gonna even approach me anyway because I was looking like, come on, say something to me. I want you to say something to me. So I wasn't ready. So my lips said it, but my heart was so far from it. So she was saying all that. So a conversation a month and a half ago, she's like, girl, you never guess what happened. You never guess who called me. And I was like, who? So I'm gonna let you take the story and
I
start
don't remember
telling.
which one this is. Who you
This
talking
is
about?
when this is when somebody called you and said, hey, let's have a committed relationship leading toward marriage. And you said, I don't even like him.
Oh, okay, okay.
Look, y'all, look. Did y'all hear it? She said, oh, which one? Which one? I see what I tell you. Which one? But the thing is that I want y'all to understand what before she starts saying when she says which one, but she stood her ground. And that's what I want you to understand. So we're not just saying this to be saying this. She stood her ground. Even though all these individuals was coming into her circle, one thing she did, she stood her ground because she made a declaration and she told me that she said, Lord, I'm not going to go back. I'm not changing. I'm a stay the course. And she said this prayer, and I told her it didn't work for me. But I'm gonna let you tell them what the prayer is. And it didn't
Okay.
work for me because I prayed and it didn't work.
Well, the prayer I prayed was you have to, if I'm going to live for you and I'm gonna do this right, you're gonna have to take this sexual desire away. Point blank period. I
Mm-hmm.
said because the flesh rises up. I never forget. I was talking to a pastor at the time, and he was like, "Why you pray that prayer? Don't pray that prayer." I was like, "No, I know what I'm praying." I said because I don't want to get in a situation and have my legs over my head and I be in trouble. I'm sorry. Let me calm it down. I was
Keep
like,
your feet on the flow.
well, and that's the thing. I was like, okay, God, you're gonna have to take the desire away because
Yeah.
I can't live for you and deal with this flesh thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the one that called me a little while ago, he I told him from the beginning, and when I say from the beginning, we keep in contact. You know, he's another, I'm gonna say minister in the gospel. I'm not gonna tell a title because it people who know. Okay,
Yeah.
he's a man in the gospel, right? So um he was one of the ones that made the phone call and was talking about
Y'all I'm
this
laughing because
this
the conversation.
relationship, and I'm just like, I told you from jump, I'm gonna be very honest, you are not the one. And when I started
Not
talking to
it.
him, I heard just as clear, he's not the one. Even when, the other one didn't work out, it's like he's not the one. And it was so many things that wasn't right with the situation. And my nephews talk about me. They was like, "Auntie, you just too much." I was like, "No, I'm a keep it real. I ain't sleeping with nobody. So,
Right.
at the time, with no ring on my finger.
Sure. And no
So I was like,
rose in
okay,
the
fine.
vase.
So I was like, okay. So he was like, I've gotten comfortable with you. I can talk to you about anything. I was like, okay, that don't mean we should be married. And he was like, you know what? You really have a way of just hurting my feelings. I was like, I'm gonna be honest. I said,
Right.
I said, I'm not gonna settle. you know, and sort of like your conversation, I was like, if I was gonna settle, I couldn't settle with him because there was some things that was out of place. But I was like, man, he ain't even a good settling person, but he has a couple of things working for him. But he's good to talk to. He gave me good hugs. We can sit up there and watch movies. But it's not.
Clicking.
Yeah, it wasn't clicking. And
It's
then I had another one, and it was like back to back. Well, it was back to back to back. Cause one was a ex. I ain't gonna say relationship because if you know, you know. Um, there was one who was like, if I win this money tonight, because the lottery had got up, right? Would you marry me? And
gambling on that.
uh, I was like, first of all, money does not make you happy.
It does
And we
not.
had been, we go way back, over 20 years back. And I was
Wow.
like, um, why would I marry you? And he said, it's not for you, it's for me to keep the other females away. I was like, nah, can't do that.
Okay, so
Like,
how
don't you want to know
does
why?
that work? So how does that work? If he want to use you as a shield,
Well,
Jesus should be your shield, baby. Let Jesus be your shield.
I guess he was trying to say women come out the woodwork if you have money. So he'll make sure I'm okay so he ain't got to deal with the other women. I was like, nah, because money ain't gonna make you happy. And if I was gonna settle, I would have settled 20 years ago. I'm not about to settle right now. Not with you.
Y'all, I'm being
And I
honest.
was
My
like,
girl's raw, so y'all gotta take it. Take it.
and I'm trying to put this out there for the Christian people, because I
because
don't
what
want them
she
to say.
want to say, she ain't saying.
And
What
then
she wants.
I said, don't you want to know why I won't marry you? And he was like, no, not really. I said, see, that's the sign of immaturity. You should know. I said, I'm gonna tell you anyway. I said, first of all, you mean. You just darn right mean. I said, and you could use some saving, but I said, you just mean, right? So he was first, and then the other man was next, and then the same person came back again, was like, you sure you don't want to marry me? And this was like a period of time later. I was like, no, I'm not marrying you. And I was like, God, if if I'm gonna settle, can you at least give me some good prospects? So
But the thing
then,
was this. But the thing was this, and this is the thing. And this is where we're gonna get. So we got to know the difference between when it's the enemy and when it's the Lord. And we talk about this.
but see, now let me say this now, so I don't get in no trouble. Um, in the mix of all of this, someone was introduced to me, and we began to talk.
Mhm.
Okay, and I was so sure, maybe because it was in my, because I wanted to be married. I was like, okay, it's like, you get to a point where it's like, okay, this might be the one, this might be the one. And
Right,
then, I'm praying all along, right? Because my prayer in the beginning is, God, show me who this person is, show me the reason or the season, show me, because I don't want to invest too
right,
much time. So this person was introduced to me, and we start, to get close to the, like, oh, okay, this might be the one, right?
hmm,
And then it's like all hell started to break loose. So I'm talking to someone, but it's in a idling position. It's
right,
it's no movement. So I'm like, okay, God, let me step back and let
right.
you take over, because obviously I'm not doing something right.
Yeah.
Um, and I wanted to say that because I didn't want to get in no trouble, too much trouble, right?
So this is when we talk about, and I think I told you about this, about our picker being broke. It's not our jobs, and I know that we as women we want to help God pick who we want. But it's not our jobs to pick. And the thing is this, is we trust God to give us what is best for us. And knowing the difference to when God is sending it and when the enemy is sending it as a distraction from us walking in our purpose. And I know we talk about this in extent, me and you do. And when we talk about, okay, when the one that we talked about that called you on the phone right after when you called me right after I told the devil to shut up. And that was a conversation we had, I want to say the day before, talking about how, we're really ready for our mates and, Lord, what do we need to do different? And I think we even talked about, do we need to pray about it? Do we need to seek God about it? And then all of a sudden that very next day, I get the enemy try to give me a conversation. Now he presents it to me in a conversation, but he presented it to you on a phone call.
I was like,
I think we talk about not letting, and we do, and I want people to understand we do desire to be married, but we don't want it to be a distraction from where God is trying to send us. And that's what this particular podcast is about. When we talk about, let's talk about it for real, about not allowing our desires to overshadow what God wants for us. And it can be a fight. So I'm not telling you something because I was at a point, and Dorena could tell you that she can testify to this. There was a point where it was almost consuming for me because I wanted to be married. I didn't want to be by myself. I didn't want to do it on my own. I was like, I want some. And the thing is this, I was doing good by myself. It's not that I wasn't, but I wanted a companion, but I wanted more than just a companion. I wanted that husband. And I got a definition for husband, and people be thinking I'd be playing around. Provider, protector, covering, companion, shelter, your strong top, all of that. And I told him I don't want an acquaintance, and I don't want just a companion, because you can have and no, y'all don't take this wrong, because I don't mean no offense. And my girlfriend has a dog. A dog can be a companion. He can sit with you. Mm-hmm. I don't want just that. I don't want just a friend, because I can have a whole lot of friends. So a husband has a different definition. I wanted the whole package, but I'm not willing to just settle for anything. And my girlfriend said something that had me in tears. She said, if the enemy is going to present something to you, and it is a counterfeit, or it is what word did you use? You didn't use counterfeit. What words was that you used? You used imitation. Is that what you used?
I don't know, maybe.
Did you say imitation? You said it wasn't even a good imitation. You said if it's going to be a Gucci, at least look like a Gucci.
Yeah, make it a Lucci, a Moochie or something.
Yeah, but you didn't even make it look like. So my thing is, when the enemy presents something to you, it ought to look good. But if it does look good, if you just wait a little bit, it'll start looking like what it is. When it looked like gold, don't mean it's always gold. It is not always shining. And then sometimes we get caught up in what we want, that we lose focus, and we end up in a situation or in a relationship that God never intended us in, and it becomes toxic, and it pushes us off our purpose, and it pushes away from God and not to God. And I know there was this one particular relationship that I had, and this is before I got married. So y'all, look at you. This is before I got married. Y'all should see my crew. One of them pushed his glasses down. So this is before I got married. Okay, so before I even got married, before Chris ever proposed to me, me and Chris started off as best friends, and Dorena knows that. That's what we were for years. Now, mind you, I was in love with Chris way before we ever got married. And now, mind you, I had young men that approached me, but I was in a different level, a different path. And so my mind was on a different thing. But when I saw Chris, first of all, I didn't like him. When I first met him, I didn't, because I thought he was arrogant. thought he was stuck up, but it wasn't. He was just shy. And so he didn't talk a lot unless he knew you. And so when I started to singing, that broke the ice. He was like, man, she can sing. So then he wanted to have a conversation with me. So now it was probably 2 years later before I found like, oh my gosh, I think I like this man. But before that, well, during that time that I thought, so another man approached me. So that's what I'm getting to. Another man approached me. He was, I'm gonna say his name, but he was a person of substance. He had everything probably a woman would have wanted in a husband. He had the money, he had the house, he had the fine car, he knew how to talk, he carried himself well, he had all the package. And he talked about what he was going to do for me and all this other stuff. But one problem I had with him, he told me, he said, I have God in my own way. So I was like, what do you mean you have God in your own way?
Yeah, what does that mean?
He couldn't explain it to me. So that was like, okay, I make a choice. But he told me you can go do what you want in ministry. You can go to church when you go. I'll even go with you sometimes. So I had a choice. Do I settle for what looks like gold? Or do I say no? And this is the choice that I had to make. And when I say the bruh was fine, the bruh was fine.
Now, see, that's good. God gave that to you, and that wasn't my test because I might have failed that test. I might have been like, okay, it may not be 14 or 18 karat gold, but if it's called like that white gold or like gold plated, if it's gold plated and it ain't gonna tarnish too quick, I can spray it and make it work for me. Yeah, that might actually work for me.
Yeah, you're
So
crazy.
that's good. That wasn't my test because I'd be like, oh, okay, God, I can pray on him, and if Lord willing, he'll go and accept you, for real, for real. Long as he got a Bible and he on the road, we can work with that salvation thing. That was back in the day, y'all. That was back in the day. I'm a little bit more mature now, but I'm just saying that was back in the day because I need a man that's gonna be on fire for God for real.
Yeah.
I can't.
And
I'm
and
too
that was
old to
it.
be having somebody half stepping at this point. But
And see, that's it. And so I had to make a choice. And I chose no. I chose to no. To no, to no, to no. And it wasn't like, and I think people think that oh, she just no, I had men approaching me. I did. I just chose which I had a, and people maybe say my standards are too high. I don't think holiness is too high. I don't think righteousness is too high. I think it's God's only standard. And I think that when he is a godly man and has a heart after God, and his first desire, then y'all hear me well, his first desire is to please God, then he'll know how to take care of his wife. Then he'll know how to take care of his family. And then he'll be faithful to that. Because I'm going to tell you what, I ain't going to deal with no cheaters. I ain't dealing with that. Now that's me. I don't think I said, Lord, I don't know if I could forgive if he would dishonor that. So I don't know if I could deal with that. So in that, I was like, no, because you can tell me you'll go. But what will happen if at that time that I want to go minister and you tell me, no, I can't go? Well, my job is to honor my husband because I believe in living according to the word. So since I chose to marry him and he don't want me to go, so that means I don't go. So I chose no. I had an opportunity to date an NFL player. I said, no, sirree, not
no.
me. Because, and I said, Lord, can you bring me some saved men? And I had one. I mean, he wasn't mine yet. That was Chris. But he was still, at the time, he wasn't saved. So that's already another thing. He was playing, anointed to play, but he wasn't saved. So my mind wasn't on, okay, I want to date him because he ain't saved. So men were coming to my circle, but I'm like, can I get a saved one? Can I get a Holy Ghost filled one? And I said, and I think the enemy thought that I was hooked on the way you look. If you have the love of God on the inside and He abiding in you, now I'm gonna be honest. I got to be able to wake up to you.
Be
Y'all,
honest
y'all
now.
can y'all
Be
can y'all can
honest.
throw shade on me if you want, but I got to be able to turn over and not be
Mm.
scared in the middle of the night.
I don't put no paper bag over your head either. You know, I'm just saying.
I don't want to be scared when I wake up in the morning, or not even got to wake up. I'm just turning over, and I don't want you to rub your feet against me, and you don't take care of your feet, and they're cutting me. I don't want
Well, you
that.
know what? Now I'm gonna be honest. If that's the case, I'm gonna give you the best pedicure. Oh, I'm gonna send you out for a pedicure because sometimes depending on your stature, it's kind of hard to get take care of your feet, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So, so I'm gonna make sure you have a pedicure, and them
That's true.
feet
I
gonna be
agree with you on
together.
that one. Yeah.
So that way you're not gonna be cutting and scratching on me and leaving stuff in the bed, residue. But yeah,
So yeah.
see,
So it's not like
God know how to test you, because yeah. See, somebody fine ain't gonna get it for me.
that's
I
not
mean,
true.
yeah. Okay, what I'm saying is, I'm not, impressed by looks.
And I don't think, and see, that's
Be-
the
be-
thing. I think the enemy thought that's what I was looking for,
And
or
then you
that
can't
would
even
catch.
have a too famous job. Like I couldn't do a pro player because I have trust issues. So that would never work because
So
I'll be in the corner stalking you with my what? Who you with now? But no, I can't do that. I'm still
it's a
trying to
lot of people.
be
Yeah, so a
saved,
lot.
and I ain't trying to go to jail. So that's okay.
And
That's
so
okay.
that thing, a lot of people think that I'm like, I'm not, that I'm like, oh, she's so holy. No, I'm not. I tell people all the time, I walk around in a fleshly vessel. I tell the ministry all the time where I minister at. I said, y'all, I'm not dead. I said, I am yet alive. I am. God created us in a certain way. He created us as, and I don't, and so y'all take, I'm gonna say it, but y'all, I'll explain it. He made us sexual beings. He did, but he made it to be in the confines of marriage and not a outside of marriage. I don't say it like that. I'm gonna keep it clean. He
Okay.
made it in the confines of marriage, and so when you're not married, so I'm gonna take it from me, and then I'll let you pick up. So when I was single, I don't know nothing about, so transparent. When I got married, I was a virgin. Didn't have a relationship outside of my husband and have not since he passed. So before I got married, I didn't deal with the flesh like that. Now, every now and then it would rise, but I was like, but I didn't deal with that because I didn't have any, I had never had I never made love. So I didn't have that issue. But when I got married, y'all, I think I wanted it more than my husband did. I probably wore his tail. I did. I wore his tail. Have mercy,
Well, the marriage veil
Jesus.
is undefiled, so
Hey, I'm being
get it.
honest. So I was like, and they was like, when you get pregnant, you don't really want it. That wasn't me. I wasn't like that. So when I went from single, I was good, to married, got it whenever I wanted it, to now you gotta sustain again. I'm like, hold on, Lord, you don't put me from single to married, having a relationship with my husband, to now you can't do it no more. You don't put a stop. How am I supposed to handle that? And so the what I got was pray, fast, pray, fast, study your word, take cold showers. That don't always work. So what do you So what do you do when you want to jump? And so I'm being transparent. So I called Dorena and I'd be like, girl, I want to jump out of my skin. I'm ready to jump out of my skin. And so you gotta have somebody that you can talk to when you're in those moments. Because if you stay there, it's gonna lead you into a bad place.
Yes, Lord. Not trying to be tempted. Not trying to be tempted.
And you have to fight. So for me, it was a, and have I made it over? I'm better. I'm so much better. But God gave me driven and purpose as a how would I say this? And I don't want to say a distraction, because it's not a distraction, because it's causing me to move forward in my purpose. But what it does is it takes my mind off of that. So my mind is not always focused on that, because driven in ministry, my children take up majority of my time. But in those late midnight hours,
Jesus,
when you wake up out your sleep and nobody next to you, I had to get out the bed and I go walk around the house. And I was like, oh, keep it together. Keep it together. So going from here to middle, and it's almost like starting over again. Do you know what I mean? Going from a single life to a married life, back to a single life. I don't know how women, well, yes, I do, because I'm doing it now. But not every day it's a struggle, but some days and sometimes it's weeks that I struggle. But I fight. I make sure that, and it wasn't always like that. Being transparent. It wasn't always like that, but learning to find other distractions that you can, until you're, and I'm gonna be honest, and we're gonna be transparent. We know that God made us like this. He did. He created us like that. And as hard, and me and Dorena laughed about this, as hard as I pray, Lord, would you just take it from me? Because you ain't letting me use it. And since I can't use it, shut it down. Put it on the lockdown, Jesus. Just do it. But that didn't work for me. I cried. I cried so hard. I said, Lord, if you would just take it. Because I ain't using it. And it don't look like I'm going to use it. So you might as well just take it from me and let me be free. But he didn't do that. So I talk to Dorena a lot. I do. I talk to her a lot. And I talk about the places that I am in at that moment. And I said, girl, talk to me. And I'll tell, in a minute, I'll be like, talk me off the cliff. Talk me off the mountain. Now, I ain't going to fall over the mountain, y'all. I ain't, because I've been saved too long. And I tell her all the time, I'm not going to drop my salvation for a 2-minute thing. It may last 3. I don't remember because it's been so long. It been so long, so I can't see how long it lasts. But I'm not going to drop my salvation for that one. Then you got to go back. And it took too long. And I think about it. It took too long for me to get here, to get to this space. But I don't want to, and I tell you all this time, I don't want to ever settle just because I don't think I can maintain. So I tell the Lord all the time, if you want me to stay in this realm, in this spiritual realm, I need you to send. And I'm going to be honest, people be talking about Boaz, send me my Boaz. That was
not bozo.
That was.
Don't want the bozo, but you know.
But that was for her. That Boaz was for her. I want what you got for me. And I know she, you know, but I want him to give me what he desires for me to have. Because whenever he sends him, and I believe God got somebody for me. I do. I believe that without a shadow of a doubt. I believe that he has somebody, but it's timing. It's timing, And it's a place
Mhm.
in the journey. And there's things that he had to do in me and is still doing for him to even come into my circle, because I would cut you. I'll cut you from the Rudy to the
I'm glad
Tootie.
I'm the nice one.
You nice. You just told somebody you don't like them.
I
And
was just being
matter of
honest.
fact, you said,
That's just
and
being
you're
honest.
mean. She said,
See, there's a difference now. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. Being honest is one thing, but if I tell somebody that you're mean, that means
you might
there's a
want to fix
whole
that.
disposition that
You need to
is not,
change. Right.
lining
Now,
up to anything.
do you think, okay, do you think that God gives us, and I already know the answer to this, gives us signs and signals that that's not it?
Of course he does. Of course he does. I believe that every fiber within me, I believe that.
And
And I
most of
think I'm just grateful that for one way or another, um, I can't ignore all the red flags. I mean,
yeah,
it was to the point I was engaged once, and I literally walked in and caught him in bed with somebody else. Now, you would think anybody with any type of sense would say, "My bad, I'm sorry. What can I do to make this up to you?" Right? His thing was, "Oh, I shouldn't have gave you a key, and I want to know if you're gonna act a fool. And do I need to call the cops?" I was like, "You such an idiot." I
right. No,
mean,
you don't need to call the cop. You can have your key back, and then I'm
I
gonna
mean,
go.
it's us. I mean, that's one red flag you can't ignore. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So, thank goodness, um, I've gotten some pretty obvious red flags with my child's father. Um, we were talking, and you know, I was young then. I thought, okay, we gonna get married, whatever. Why he have a whole baby on me? A whole baby. So I was like, and that was one time I did go back because after I was engaged, and my love story is so convoluted. So I was with my child's father. Then he had a whole child on me. Then I went to start talking to the guy I was engaged to. Then I caught him in bed. Then went back to my child's father. And later on in life, that's when he became my child's father, right? But um, I was like, okay, it got to the point where literally you cannot ignore the red
Ignore.
flags.
Right. Now,
I
do
mean,
you think? Do you think in those relationships it kept you from where you were going?
of course it did, because it was a detour. It was a distraction. Every step I made toward my purpose, toward what I was supposed to be doing, anytime, and let's call a spade a spade. When I fell off into sin, I fell face first. I was like, okay, I'm a I'm a I'm a marry him, might as well see what he working with.
Right.
But it came at a cost.
Yeah.
It came at a cost of my self-esteem. It came at a cost to um my growth with God. It oh, I paid dearly for those, to the point where I was like, the next person I'm sleeping with is gonna be my husband. And that's
Yeah.
when I was like, okay, God, you gotta take this away. If I'm gonna live right, you gotta take it away. Cause
Right.
I'm tired of these knuckleheads. It ain't got nothing going on but what's below the waist, and they can't even do that right. So I'm gonna need you to do something for real. Cause
Yeah. Yeah.
cause I was like, I can find something else, to satisfy me if that's all I got to look forward to.
Yeah. Yeah. And
But
that's the truth. And I think that's where a lot of us mess up, because we decide, you know what, I'm just going to settle for whatever comes my direction. but they don't understand in the settling for whatever, you don't know what's going to happen. Will they allow you to continue to do what you're supposed to do in God? And then not only that, when we said, I just want to be with somebody, and we say, just for that moment, and like you talked about, just for that moment took me in a different, it was a detour. And that detour caused it. And we know when we take a detour, when we take a natural detour, it causes us to lose some time. Same way in our spiritual life, when we allow these doors to, and the thing is, the Lord is sending up flags. Because we one person that you dated, I told you, girl, I see red flags all on the play. And I said, girl, don't do it. And I want, well, I didn't say, girl, don't do it. It took me a little time before I said, girl, don't do it. All I could say was, girl, the red flags. I see red flags all over the play. Come on, come on, come on. But finally, when you came to yourself, I was like, Lord, I need you to shake her. When you said, girl, I can't do this. I cannot do this because it's not healthy. It's not healthy for me. And I wanted you to know how God has something so much better for you. And when you look, and you can chime in, when you look at a potential spouse, if he comes into your circle or comes into your space and you look at him, this is the first thing I say. How do we look together in ministry? How do we go together in ministry? And if you can't answer that, he probably not the one. Because if you say you saved and he say he thinking about it, or yes, he is, but if you can't come together in ministry, I don't ever plan on going to church. He in one church, I'm at another church. That ain't never happening. Ain't gonna never happen. He take one car, I take another car. No, we gonna go to church together. It ain't gonna be no battleship. It's gonna be fellowship. We're gonna be the same fellas in one ship, going the same direction. Our ministry has to be able to flow together, because we can't, it's too much of a friction. If we try to go, I don't ever want to be in a ministry and we fighting at home, and I got to try to come, and I got to, because I preach, I got to get in the pulpit. I can't be at home and he argued with me, then I got to come in the pulpit. That I ain't gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. So how does your ministry flow together, especially with Driven in Purpose? If he's coming, will he say, I'm with you on Driven in Purpose? Or will he say, no, I want you doing that? So you have to look at all of that together when you're going into a committed relationship, to where you say, okay, I want to marry you. How does your children fit in the equation? Are they going to be comfortable with him? Is he going to be, he going to be comfortable with them? Is he going to see them as his? How does all that look because I got 3, you got 1, and they're never going to go nowhere unless the Lord take them home. They're part of us.
Yeah.
And so he has to be part of the family as a unit. I told the Lord, I said, Lord, when you send them, I want people to look at my girls and can't tell that that's not their biological father. That's how close and tight I want them to be. And they be like, oh man, you got 3 beautiful girls. And not be like, oh, are those your stepchildren? Because sometimes you can tell when they
God
stepchildren.
God forbid.
And so you have to look at so when you're God, and I don't think, and people probably going to say no, I don't think there's anything wrong with asking God for a mate. The Bible says we have not because we ask not.
I'm gonna need a GPS, a little air tag on my blessing. Like, where is he? Is this the one? Because I know you sending somebody. The one right here in front of me. Is that the one? The one over here.
That would be too easy.
That's
That would be too easy. I wish he would. It would be amazing if I could say, Lord, because let me tell you about my brother. My brother, Pastor Tony, and this makes me a little frustrated, y'all. I'm gonna be honest. This makes me a little frustrated. My brother, Pastor Tony, the Lord showed him what his wife knew that she was going to be a woman of color, but not black, but knew that she was a woman of color. I was like, Lord, you ain't even got to tell. I don't even got to know what color. Just show me something. Show me his hands. Show me his feet. Show me his back. Show me, girl. I was saying all that. I said, can I see the top of his head, the back of his head? Show me an earlobe. Show me.
But you
Show
know
me.
what? Let me say this. Now, I said that too. God showed me something. And the thing about that, God showed me something years ago, to the point of I couldn't see a face. I saw him in a position in the church, and I saw myself in the church. So my struggle came with every time that I was like in a space with, okay, is this the
Someone
one?
in the ministry, right?
Right. I was like, okay, is this the one? He kind of fit the description because it was a like a veil, like a screen, like a
Right.
projector screen that comes down. It was covering him. So I only saw a silhouette.
So that was almost a distraction for you.
So I was like, at this point, I'm just like, okay. So my prayer now is, okay, show me the reason or the season. What's
Yeah.
the point? What purpose are you gonna serve in my life?
So you know
You
what,
know,
that helps me. So I'm gonna stop asking them to show me a hand or foot because I'm gonna be looking at everybody's hands. I'm asking, can you take off your shoes so I can see your feet? We ain't gonna do all that. Turn around so I can see the back of your head. No. So and that's the thing, Lord. What is the season? What is the time? What place do I need to be in? Because I believe that it's part of the journey. I believe when we get to a certain part or a certain season, He'll come. I'm like, Lord, is it fall, winter? And I don't necessarily, it may not even be um, a time of the year, but a season of your life when he has finished doing what he needed to do in us, because there is things that he's completing. And we talk about this all the time. Stepping into purpose is one thing, being driven in it, fulfilling what God has to do. Because I know the Lord told me this. He said he'll find you while you are working. While you are doing what I've told you to do, he'll find you. So I was like, okay. So then my thing was like, Lord, I want to work. And the more I said I want to work, the more I wasn't doing nothing. But when I stopped saying that and my focus changed to, okay, God, what do you want me to do? What is your plan for me? And then the Lord said, radio. And I told you about this. And you remember I was trying to figure out how to get on radio?
hmm
I don't know about it. And then when it says the young people was like, do a podcast, do a podcast. The Lord said, that's what I'm talking about. And he had told me before he told me radio, he told me driven in purpose. I didn't know what he was saying then, but now I know that this is a space to where we share how to find and how to avoid distractions, that not just the spiritual but the natural life, the desires of wanting to be married, the desires of wanting to have children, all of that. Don't let that detour you from what God is trying to send you, because if you find out what God wants you to do, all that stuff will happen in God's timing. But as
That's
long
true.
as you're not fulfilling what God has for you to do, how is he supposed to do what he needs to do? And that's what the Lord told me. Until you do what I need you to do, I cannot fulfill what I promised to do for you, because there's a part of the journey that I need you to get you to in
hmm
order for them to come to you. So that's what it's about. It's about fulfilling our purpose in God. And I'm excited about, because I was like, if I can get Dorena on here, because y'all, she don't like to talk a lot. She doesn't. She doesn't like to talk a lot, but God has some amazing things in store for her. He does. And she's finally said, okay, God, you heard her. She said, I'll do whatever you want me to do.
I'm like, okay, I'm tired of fighting. Like, play your arms too short to box with God. I said, okay,
He was beating you up.
yeah, but
He was,
but my thing was, I got used to saying no. No was
yeah,
my comfort zone.
yeah.
because you can't not only be pushed, but I'm like, if you say no, okay, I'm nice and comfortable, and that's my safety. That's my safety net. When you
Yeah,
start saying
because we
yes,
always think we don't. Yeah, because then the thing is this: we got to stop worrying about how other people, and this is me because I don't, how other people perceive me because I did at one time. How do people see me? How do people take me? And the Lord said the only person that you got to worry about how I see you. How do I see you? And then concerned about am I equipped? And this is something that I talk to you about. Everything that you need, Dorena, God has already placed in you. He's already given you the gifts. He's already put uh, everything that you need to do what he's told you to do. It's just him sharpening it. It's just him fine tuning it. But if you've never, and this is for y'all listening on Facebook, if you
hmm
never ever use it, you'll never fine tune it. It's like an instrument. If you let an instrument sit too long, a piano, a violin, a guitar, it'll go out of key. Even a drum set. After a while, when the temperature, y'all know about music, my husband played, the temperature will change. If you don't tune those drum heads, they'll be off. Same way with our spiritual life. If we don't never use our gifts, if we don't never use our ability, how are we to sharpen them? How are they to get fine tuned? So that's what I said, Dorena, I got something I need you to do. I said, the Lord said, come on, driven in purpose. And she was like, girl, I don't know about that.
I was like Moses. I was like, God, I don't speak very well. I'm like,
Yeah,
God, what do I have to say? I
you
I
got a whole
I,
lot.
I promise you, I fought tooth and nail. And I was just like, why you want me on it? I'm like, nobody listens to me. I don't have an audience. What do I have to
No.
say that's of any importance?
And see, that's what people think. People think that, and I mean, I think people think that I'm about everybody's got to have a name. We all have a name. We do. And the biggest thing, God knows who we are. And that's my
hmm
point. It's being able to tell everybody. And it's not about who you are, it's about whose you are. And that's
That's
the
true.
point. So God has a plan for you, he has a plan for me, he has a plan for everybody. It's just finding out what God has for you to do. And so driven to purpose is about pushing people into the purpose, letting them know that, hey, God does have a plan for your life. He does. He has purpose for you. Don't allow these little distractions to come. And some of them are big distractions to come in your way to cause you to miss your opportunity with God and not fulfill your purpose in him. Because if you do not do what God tells you to do and you leave this earth, well, baby, you missed the mark and you have
Sure
not
did.
fulfilled what God has told you to do. And that's and I told you this. You will be held accountable for what you did not do. And God, God has come and told you, this is what I want you to do. And you told him no. You got to face that. And I told him, well, you know what, Dorena, come on. You got a whole lot to say on and she didn't say everything she wanted because she's trying to keep it censored, y'all. She didn't say
I'm
everything
trying.
she wanted to say, but
But let me
it
tell you,
is
let me just say this. For anyone who's struggling to be connected, to find their purpose, I'm a go old school.
come on now.
Connect. Connect. Get you a prayer partner.
Mm-hmm.
Get you, if you have a mother in the church that's willing to mentor you, find somebody that's going to impart in you, you know, give you some, not only wisdom, that's going to pray with you, that's able to talk to you, when you need. Because I'm telling you, I have a whole lot of prayer partners, but and I say that because of the family that I'm in.
Right.
I got a sister that I can say, hey, I'm gonna need some prayer.
Yes,
But
you do.
but I don't talk to my sisters like I talk to Alice. So Alice, I can be like, girl, let me tell you what's going on. This is why I need prayer. Ooh,
Yeah.
honey, this is what the devil did. I'm trying to do anyway. So find that person that's gonna push you into your purpose.
Yeah.
Cause Alice not gonna let me be still.
No, I'm
I was
not.
trying to take the back road, just kind of, okay, yeah. I'm a good cheerleader. Like, hey,
Yeah.
yeah.
But he wants you
She
to
was
say
like, no,
you can
come on.
Cheer for God, but he wants you to stop. He's trying to get people to stop being a spectator. Get into the car, y'all.
Mhm.
Put on your seatbelt
Forward
and
movement.
let's start moving forward. And that's
Mhm.
what Driven and Purpose is about. It's about encouraging you in God to find your purpose, not just to find it, but then to be driven in it. Because once you're driven in it, you won't stop. You'll keep going until God says, okay, now there's something else that I want you to do. And know that purpose is not just one thing. There's multiple things that God has for you to do. Just find it. So you guys, this is Driven in Purpose. I am so grateful that my best friend, Dorena Sams, this will not be the first time that you'll see her. She will be back on with us again. But make sure that you go to Driven in Purpose Facebook page. Make sure you follow it. Make sure you share. Tell all your friends, families to come and watch Driven in Purpose. We're trying to build kingdom. We're trying to remind everybody that God has a purpose. He has a plan for your life, and to
Mhm.
remind you whose you are and know that God loves you. I'm Alice Robinson. This is Driven in Purpose. And like I always say, let's get it and let's
That's
go. Good
that's
night,
right.
everybody.
Good
Love
night.
you guys.